The James Show Podcast.
And there's a common thread among some of the problems that we're having right now. Some of the ugly stuff that you're seeing on your social media, and I don't want to, just cherry pick the worst of the worst here, but it's more people than it should be that feel comfortable turning on their phone, looking into the front-facing camera, and saying they don't care about the children dying in the Texas Hill Country flooding. There's usually a political angle to it. This is what you voted for, or FAFO, you cut meteorologist. What do you think is going to happen? Other people are saying, well, there's a whites-only enclave, and these Nazis get what they deserve. And the ugly truth is, if we really were Nazis, that would make sense. Yeah, you probably wouldn't be too upset about the people who are supporting an ideology as horrible as Nazism. But you and I both know that we're not Nazis. We're not terrible people. The media is lying about us. The media is exaggerating. And people are buying it. And because they believe these absurdities, they're committing atrocities. It's an atrocity to be indifferent to the suffering of children just a few miles away from you because they're from the opposite political party in your same nation. I mean, we're talking about people who are pretty much your cousins over here. Oh, you're upset about children dying in Gaza, but not in Kerrville. What the heck's the matter with you? It's the hyperbole and the anxious people that get ginned up by the hyperbole that motivated the shooting in Alvarado on Friday, where we just had a 12th person indicted. It's the media reporting, the hyperbole, and the anxious people who fall for it that have led to all these pro-Palestinian attacks. Whether it's the shooting in D.C., the flamethrower in Boulder, the guy running through the car in New Orleans. There's been 3 this year from that. Whether it's BLM and having a rally in Dallas and shooting and killing 6 of our cops. They got ginned up by this whole racial narrative that this is a racist, evil country that it just hunts black people for sport and white people are evil. And got it. Your hyperbole may be politically helpful, but it's getting people killed. And so some of this traces all back to the media. And if we could solve for that variable, what would gin these people up? And it's not all media. It's just the media that's so damn biased they have to lie and slander for their political purposes. There's a good explanation on why we don't have a similar backlash on Team Red. Listen to Team Red Media. Listen to WBAP. Do I call half of this country or 70 million people in this country Nazis? Do I dehumanize them? Do I say they're racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe? Think of all the horrible things that you are called based on your political ideology. Racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe. You don't care if children die and poor people suffer and old people just languishing in the ditch, just writhing and dying slowly. You're just a heartless bastard. What do we say about them? Hey, you need to stop listening to the media. You are being misled by people who do not have your best intentions at heart. That's why there's not a backlash. We don't paint our political opponents as evil. 800-288-9227. I'll talk about more on how to fix the situation. First, Ron, Stephenville. You're on WBAP.
Hello. You were talking about your, people that that are libs and Democrats that don't agree with what the rest of them are saying. Their silence is deafening because if they don't agree with it, they need to be speaking out against it, and it would change things. But they never do. On our side, if one of our congressmen or whatever speaks out like that, we call them out. We will censor them. We'll do all that stuff. But no, not on the Dem side. Everybody is completely dead silent when it comes to issues that they don't agree with on their own side. If you don't agree with it, speak out, or you are part of the problem.
Well, the reason they don't speak out is because that's not good for them. Look, if you think the right to have an abortion is the most important thing in the world, then you would be willing to overlook the fact that you're siding with, Palestinian terrorists and black supremacists, murderers and BLM and the crazy guys that set Teslas on fire and Tesla dealerships on fire and Antifa and all that. It would be worth it if that meant you got to preserve the thing that you hold most dear. For these single issue voters, these people that are voting either based on abortion or racism or, the protection of illegal immigrants. It's a strange little deal with the devil. And it makes sense. It makes sense from that point of view that, okay, as long as we win the next election, I don't care if we have a couple of pro-Palestinians go off. It's better than literally Hitler being elected.
they're still the problem.
Agreed.
They are still the problem.
Ron, what's the solution? How do we fix the media?
We need to be calling them out, and I know we do. I know there's news channels, you guys, and stuff like that call them out.
That's not enough.
People on their own side need to call them out.
Well, we can't control them
because I know we can't, and that's the problem. They keep thinking that they're talking to the people that are their constituents, and their constituents are saying, "Well, I don't agree with this," but they're not saying to them, "I don't agree with you." They keep following through with it, or they just stay dead silent, which gives these people the clarity that we're on the right here. We're doing what they want us to do, because everybody is too silent. If you have a problem with it on either your side or the other side, it's great to speak it out. But if you're on your side and you will not call out your side when they're wrong, then you are just as bad as they are.
Well, if that's what we're relying on, then we'll never fix it, because we can't control their mind. We just have to wait for half of them to, when they grow up, they'll sort of evolve to the conservative side of the political spectrum. The other half will just be the lifers, like the Rosie O'Donnells and Chelsea Handlers of the world. And look, I don't have a much better answer, Ron and Stephenville. My only answer is if a media outlet is consistently calling you a racist, sexist, Nazi, bigot, homophobe, whatever, Islamophobe, all these other terrible terms, stop watching it. Stop watching ABC, NBC, CBS. Stop watching CNN, MSNBC, for the four of you that still watch it. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot you can do to stop them. What you really can do is just support the side that's not calling you horrible names. So yeah, download the WBAP app. Listen to talk radio. Listen to Fox News and Fox Business. And if you are going to go online and be in the social media platform spaces of TikTok and Instagram and X and whatever, support the people who are on your side. And it's not going to do a whole lot, but really, bad news, that's all you can do. Well, we've got so much going on in Texas with the flooding that's killed over 100 of our neighbors. We had the Alvarado ICE facility shot up with 20 to 30 rounds. So one officer got hit in the neck on Friday. A 12th person has been arrested in connection with that. We had the other ICE facility get shot up in McAllen, Texas. We have all kinds of stuff going on around here, along with just the normal hustle and bustle of Texas life. We haven't really been paying attention to the other side of the world. So to get us all caught up with that, returning to the James Show, regular guest, Dr. Jeffrey Brodeur is back on. He works at Rigaku. He does chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear consulting. Welcome back to the James Show. I saw a headline, Dr. Jeffrey, that Trump is not very happy with Putin. What caused that?
Thank you very much for having me be on the show. Well, Putin is realizing tactical success in the Ukrainian area of operations, and we suspected that he would not take his foot off the gas pedal until he has reached as far as he wants to, or he's positioned himself for peace talks or a ceasefire. Realizing tactical gains, it's not in his best interest to comply with either a ceasefire or a peace deal. So he's frankly given the president the Heisman treatment, just stiff-arming him.
Oh, that is a great metaphor. I love that. Okay, so realizing tactical gains, that is very proper words, but what does that mean in layman's speak? Is he gaining more territory, or?
He's killing a lot of Ukrainians. He's gaining territory. He is in the occupied territories of Ukraine, Russian-occupied territories of Ukraine. This summer, if you're a minor, you get an all-expense-paid trip to a Russian re-education camp where they will rebrand you, make you familiar with your Russian roots, and remind you that your allegiance is with Russia, not with Ukraine. And the Ukrainian leaders were an outcast, and that the Russians are there to save you from all of this.
Well, you make it sound so dastardly. We have something like that in America where, between the age of 18 and 22, you go to a government-run indoctrination camp that teaches you to love big government. We just call it college.
Yeah, I'm not here to talk about Columbia University, but we can if you like.
All right, thanks for indulging my jokes. What is the speculation here about chemical weapons being used by Russia? Any truth to that?
No speculation. It's confirmed.
Oh, really?
Would you like me to run through the numbers?
Please do.
All right. So this is a problem that didn't happen this month. This problem is 3 years old. It started as suspect. It has been confirmed. The agents in question, chemical warfare agents, are a choking agent and riot control agents. Read that as tear gas. Both are prohibited by a couple of international treaties sponsored by the United Nations, but notably the Chemical Weapons Convention implemented in 1997. What makes it confirmed? The United Nations has an organization called the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. That is an organization that enforces the Chemical Weapons Convention. When there are violations, they send out tactical teams and they take samples. They do interviews of patients and witnesses. They have published 3 reports confirming the use of chemical warfare agents in the Ukrainian area of operations. The last one was published June 29th this year. Additionally, intelligence agencies independent from the OPCW from Netherlands and Germany have within the last 30 days independently confirmed with reports Russian chemical attacks. To date, we have approximately 2,509 casualties who sought medical attention, about 9,388 Russian munitions containing those hazardous chemicals. May 2024 was a peak in use. Documented 715 cases of chemical warfare agents. These agents are so far employed as grenades, payloads on drones, or artillery munitions. And the areas of concern that are documented are along the front lines in eastern and southern Ukraine.
All right, indulge my naivete here, Dr. Jeffrey Brodeur from Rigaku. It seems counterintuitive to me that tear gas is on some internationally prohibited chemical weapons no-no list, but we use it against our own rioters here in the United States. How do we level that out? Is it a lower grade of tear gas or something?
No, it's the same, just different environment. It was part of the negotiated settlement for the Chemical Weapons Convention of 1997, because many law enforcement organizations view tear gas is a useful, non-lethal weapon to disrupt riots, quite frankly. And so there was a caveat that all 192 countries agreed to, that domestically, for law enforcement purposes only, they were authorized the use of tear gas, and only under extreme circumstances, right? So you have to have a group of violent rioters, something to cause and trigger law enforcement to believe that the only way to disrupt the violence is with this non-lethal weapon. But inside of combat operations, it is absolutely positively prohibited.
Interesting. All right. Well, I just learned something new today. Dr. Jeffrey Brodeur, chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear consultant at Rigaku Analytical Devices. Thank you very much for your update. I got to admit, I was really behind on my foreign affairs, and I think you helped catch us all up.
Thank you so much, sir. Glad to be back.
Thank you. On top of that, we have so much other stuff going on. We have the shooting that happened in Alvarado, another ICE facility attacked. Cop got shot in the neck. A 12th person has now been had charges thrown at him. That just happened since the James show started. We had the shooting in McAllen. A bunch of other stuff going on. But one of the things we'll talk about tomorrow, the comms director for John Cornyn. Is he about to get rolled up in a prostitution scandal? Because that's the scuttlebutt going around on social media right now. And there's some screenshots, and it does not look good. But, well, again, I'll do some more digging before I run my mouth, because it's a very touchy subject, and we'll do that tomorrow. But also, on top of all this, Joe Biden's doctor was asked to testify in front of Congress. And he said, no, I don't think I will. And they're like, okay, well, we were just asking nicely. If you don't come here voluntarily, we will subpoena you. He's like, no, I'm still not coming voluntarily. So they subpoenaed him. And he showed up today, this morning, and he pled the fifth. He pled the... As it stands right now, this isn't one of the guys that's been covered by the auto pin pardons. But they just quickly, the speculation became, well, how about Trump pardon this guy? And then he can't plead the fifth because he won't be incriminating himself. He doesn't have to worry about incriminating himself. Because we don't really want this guy to go to jail. That's not the point. We don't want to take him down. We want to expose all the other people that lied to the American public. We want to expose the people that told him to lie. We want to, because he's not the center of this racket. This is not his circus. He is just one of the clowns. But I did watch C-SPAN when he came in there, and I got some audio for you of him claiming the Fifth Amendment.
I said there are so many amendments in the Constitution of the United States of America. I can only choose one. I can only choose one. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anything you say, fifth. Go ahead, ask me a question. Did you?
So, and obviously Dave Chappelle, comedic genius on that. Love the Chappelle Show. Will we ever get the truth? We have to say that a lot these days, don't we? We have to say that about the Epstein files. We have to say that about the COVID, all that with the Anthony Fauci lying to your face. Oh, we need to wear a mask. Oh, we need a lockdown. Oh, you can't go to your grandma's funeral. Oh, we got to shut down all public events. Well, unless you want to protest, then that's a good thing, and we're not going to condemn that. I mean, such obvious lies, such blanket violations of the Constitution. You can't go to church. You can't go to church. Isn't that pretty well written in to the First Amendment? What happened to that old separation of church and state crowd? They all disappeared. Will we ever get to the bottom of that? But this is a huge one, too. Remember, up until about this time last year, you were told Joe Biden is sharp as a tack. The more we learn about the situation, the more we learn that not only was that wrong, it was a lie that was totally intentional. It wasn't reckless, like, oh, I didn't know he seemed fine to me. No. If independent third-party observers by the tens of millions across America can see his cognitive decline, but the people next to him, standing next to him, can't see it, not believable. Not believable just for 5 seconds. And so now we're left with a couple of other problems here. Who covered up? Who knew what? Who knew when? If he wasn't the guy in charge, who is he taking orders from? When he had the list at the few press conferences he did that had the names of people he's supposed to call on, sometimes it had the little picture next to it. Who wrote that list? Who told the reporters what they can and can't ask about, or who approved what the lawyers can and can't ask about? Because if it's not Joe Biden's not the one in charge. Who was in charge? Will we ever get to the bottom of that? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure we're going to get some of these answers, and it kind of makes you sick. I'm not sure if we ever are going to get the Epstein list. I mean, we might get it 60 years later, come out 20 years after we're all dead. Thanks a whole lot. Doesn't do us any good now, does it? But I'm not so sure we're going to get to the bottom of this. How do we get to the bottom of this? Do we pardon this guy and force him to testify? How do we know he's going to tell the truth? You know, you have a guy who, if he is covering for the ultimate Illuminati cabal, the puppet masters that are pulling the strings behind the curtains of all planet Earth, wouldn't he be willing to lie instead of just getting unalived by these guys? He doesn't want to get Jeffrey Epstein either. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we'll talk about the effects of Joe Biden's White House doctor pleading the fifth to Congress coming up on the James Show. 800-288-9227. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Do not buy these people who are going to tell you that we shouldn't be worried about Joe Biden anymore. That's in the past. Why do you want to worry about that? He's done. It's not like he's even president anymore. You just want to go dig up dirt because you're a partisan hag. No, this story means something. In fact, it means a lot. This is huge because Biden's doctor came in, pleaded the Fifth Amendment today, and refused the congressional subpoena and trying to find out who knew what when it came to mashed potato for brains. Because it was up until about right now, last year, that you were being told he was sharp as a tack. But now, not only did you observe it, I observed it. We were making jokes about it. We were making parody songs about it. Once they admit it, and when I say they, I mean everyone who was telling you he was sharp as a tack. That a lot of this, lies at the feet of the media, but it also, more importantly, lies at the feet of the people who were on his staff, the people who worked with him every day, the people who spent extended amounts of time with him. If anyone in that capacity who was exposed to him for long periods of time came out and told you he was sharp as a tack, they need to be fired. They lied. That's straight up lying. That's at least fraud. But I would even go a step further than that, because we've talked about, how do we deal with the media and their credibility going forward, seeing as how they lie about all these very important topics, and their lies are getting people killed, whether it's the attack at the ICE facilities here in Alvarado or down in McAllen, whether it's the Palestinian protesters who have murdered over a dozen of our neighbors this year, whether it's BLM shooting at our cops, killing Dallas police officers. These hyperboles and these lies and the media recklessness with the truth has negative consequences, not just in the ballot box and not just in policy and voting preferences, getting people literally killed. So here's one thing we can do about it. Any platform that was telling you Joe Biden was sharp as a tack should lose their media credentials to the White House. They have no business being in the White House, and we have a great excuse to not let them in. Why would we trust the people who were telling you that Biden is sharp as a tack? Why would we do that? At what point can you revoke the credentials of people who lie to you? Because this is a pretty big one, and they weren't sort of soft pedaling it either. This was in your face, over the top. F you if you don't believe me.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden is the best Biden ever. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been.
President Biden has...
Okay, so right there, MSNBC, you're not allowed in the White House anymore. You're not allowed in the press pools. You're not allowed at the press conferences, in the briefing room. You're not allowed on Air Force One. You're not allowed in the gaggles at the tarmac where Air Force One lands. You are out. You are off the island. That's what we should do. Isn't that kind of obvious? Why would you do that? And I could go on with the Grabian montage. It's amazing, but it's 3 minutes long, and it covers all of them. It covers CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS. Damn it, we need to reward the people that are telling the truth and punish the people that are lying to you. And so much of this starts and stops with these lying hacks in the media. Revoke them. Do not let them in. And if they say, well, this president doesn't want oppositional media, he's just scared of the truth getting out. No, he's scared of more lies getting out. You have the truth on your side. These fools lied to the American people. Not just about this. I mean, hell, it's hard to find something they didn't lie about that was a major story over the last 10 years. Going back to COVID, or going back to Jussie Smollett got beat up, or the Covington High School kids were harassing some Native American Vietnam vet at the Lincoln Memorial. I mean, it's just all lies. I mean, everything has been lies. So, yeah, kick them out. That'll teach them a lesson. And look, you don't have to say MSNBC is banished forever. I would say, hey, they're banished. If you give me 1 year of unbiased coverage, of course, your minds can be changed. If you right the ship and you stop being political hacks for Team Blue, then yeah. If you showed me that you made the corrections and most of your major stories aren't wrong, yeah, we'll have a chat about letting you back in. I'm floored that Trump hasn't already done that. Then again, I'm floored that Trump has no interest in balancing the budget. I'm floored that he hasn't released the Epstein list. I'm floored by a lot of things, but I think this is pretty cut and dry. Why are they still allowed in the press pool? Why are they still allowed on Air Force One? Why are they still allowed in the White House? Why are they still allowed at press conferences? I would never call on them again. I wouldn't even let them in the building. I'd be like, sorry, I only work with honest news agencies, not propaganda outlets masquerading as news, fraudulently masquerading as news. All right, now that we've had, coming up next on The James Show, now that we've had a good 24 to 48 hours to digest the idea that the Department of Justice says there's no Epstein list, what do you think about it now? Because in my observation, almost nobody believes them, and almost nobody should.
The James Show Podcast.